Hi, Mystery Knox listeners, and welcome back to the podcast. For today's case, we're going to tell you about a young college student from my home state of New Mexico who mysteriously disappeared in 1988 while riding her bike. There have been many twists and turns in this case, but are they getting us any closer to finding out what really happened? Or are they leading us further away from the truth? This is the case of Tara Calico. Well, folks, it's been about 5 months, 6 months. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a long time.
Has it really been 5 months? Holy shit.
No, I think it's wait, hold on.
Has it? Is it 5 months?
I think it's been longer than 5 months.
August?
No, I'm checking right now when our last episode was. Okay, June!
Oh shit, yeah.
The end of June. So how long is that?
Long ass time, Kim. Whose fault is that? No, I was kidding. It's been a collective.
Yes, it's been a collective. So, a lot of stuff has happened since our last podcast.
Yeah, well, and the reason why we've had to postpone.
Yes.
I moved.
Yeah, Mary moved. She has her own apartment.
And just had to get situated and I mean, that's just basically it. I moved and then, I moved a couple times. Had to get everything set up, and that took a bit just because, boxes. That should be self-explanatory. But then the holidays happened.
But, yeah, the moving thing, she was living with, you were living with your friends for a while, so you couldn't really record there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we actually recorded one episode there, right? But
yeah.
It was kind of difficult for you to record there. So we were like, well, let's just wait till you get your own place. And that took a little while.
Yeah.
But she has her own place.
Well, let me tell you about this place.
Oh, God.
In short.
Oh, God.
I'm looking for another place to live. No, it is not too terrible. It is not too bad. I could deal without the constant weed smell.
Right.
And dumpster divers. That was a surprise. At 5 a.m, by the way.
Was it, though, Mary? Was it?
At this point, it was, I guess, expected, But again, this was at 5 a.m.
Yeah, pretty much I wouldn't say once a week, but pretty often I'll get texts from Mary. Look what's happening now.
Yeah.
And it's like fire trucks or ambulances. You're never bored.
Yeah, but I also, it could be worse, so I'm not exactly complaining, but...
it could be, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the point is, she has her own place.
Finally.
It's a little sketchy, but, and I'll be staying with her in May, so that's exciting.
Whether it be here, so she can experience...
Or at a house. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I am willing to break this lease, so, let's go...
So we're glad to be back, and if you're still listening after 6 months, thank you. We really appreciate you guys, for real. So another thing that I wanted to bring up, we just wanted to make you guys aware of a missing person in Oregon. My sister's friend is missing her daughter, and she asked if we could talk about it just real quick on the podcast, and I said of course, because that's why we made the podcast in the first place. Is to get information out to people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read some information about her daughter, and we will have photos of her also on the blog by the time you hear this episode. The missing person's name, her name is Kristen Smith, but she can also go by the last name Reedus, Reedus. She went missing November 19th of 2022. And she's 22 years old. Her date of birth is April 24th, 2000. She is a female. She's white. And she has light blonde hair. And she has blue eyes. She's 5'2" and 100 pounds. She has a nose and a top of the lip piercing. And a birthmark on the back of her calf. And she went missing, or I guess her last known location was at Mall 205 in Portland, Oregon. That was the last place she was seen. Again, we will have pictures of her on the blog. There is a $500 reward. If you have any information, please contact Gresham Police Department at 503-618-2707. So if you guys live in that area or, any of the surrounding areas, keep a lookout for Kristen. So with that being said, let's get to the case. The morning of September 20th, 1988 started out as a typical morning for a woman named Patty Dole and her 19-year-old daughter, Tara. They got up and went about their normal routines, and for Tara, part of this normal routine included a 35-mile bike ride along New Mexico State Road 47.
Why?
35 miles.
Why?
That's what I'm saying. Holy crap. But good for her.
Yeah, like, I struggle with just what I do daily.
The area she rode in was very isolated, like most of New Mexico. But Tara never worried about that. She enjoyed the time to herself. Tara lived in Belen, New Mexico, which is about 30 minutes south of Albuquerque, in Valencia County, with her mom, Patty, stepdad, John, and her sister, Michelle. Tara was a student at UNM and was in her second year, and she dreamed of becoming a psychologist so she could help other people with their problems. According to Tara's sister, Michelle, she was a very active person and had been her whole life. In an interview with Investigation Discovery, Michelle said, quote, "From the time she was little, she was in PE, cheerleading, softball, she was part of the ski club, and she loved playing tennis," end quote. So, she was very active. The morning of September 20th, 1988, about 9:30 a.m., Tara left to go on her bike ride. Before she left, Tara told her mom, "If I'm not back by 12, come looking for me." She wanted to be back in time because she had plans to go play tennis with her boyfriend at 12:30, and she didn't want to miss it. Remember, this was 1988, way before the time of cell phones, so there was no way to contact her mother if she was going to be late.
Wasn't that kind of like sinister though? Like
What do you mean?
It was kind of sinister, like her comment to her mom, "If I'm not back by 12:30 or 12 noon, come looking for me." It just...
I mean, I don't know. I kind of remember as a kid, there was no way for your parents to get a hold of you if you were out playing, so...
I don't know, back then we just knew.
Yeah, we just knew. I mean, my mom was always just like, be home before dark.
No, exactly.
Like
the sun's coming down, your ass needs to be home. Yeah.
Yeah, then you need to get home. So, the good old days.
I know.
Her mother again told Tara of her concerns about biking alone and asked Tara to bring some mace with her, even reminding her of the time they were biking together and she thought someone was following them. But Tara wasn't having it. She really felt like she was safe in Belen, and she had been doing the same route for years, and nothing bad had ever happened before. So as much as Patty didn't like it, she couldn't force Tara to take Mace with her. She was an adult after all. So after Patty relented, Tara grabbed her Walkman with her favorite band, Boston, playing inside, and left on her mother's bike, a neon pink Huffy mountain bike, as her own bike still had a flat tire.
Huffy mountain bike? That's a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Huffy was the brand name, yeah. Unfortunately for Patty and Tara, this would be the last time they ever saw each other. Patty went about her day after Tara left, but when 12:05 p.m. rolled around and Tara wasn't back yet, she jumped in her car and headed down the road to look for her. She was expecting to just see her on the side of the road with her bike, possibly with a flat tire. But when she got to the train tracks and there was still no sign of Tara, she started to get a little worried. Typically, Tara would ride 14 miles to the train tracks and then turn around and head back to the house. This time was different. Tara was not one to say she was going to do something and then go and do something else. Patty was definitely starting to panic. She decided to call Tara's boyfriend and see if she had shown up for the tennis date as planned. But her boyfriend said she never arrived. They both knew something was incredibly wrong. Patty, out of options, called the police. Michelle, Tara's sister, stated, quote, "It was just unbelievable. But I just kept thinking, boy, she's going to be in trouble when she gets home, because look at all that's happening. But it wasn't until I went out with her friends and her boyfriend on the search, and it got real. It was cold, it was getting dark, there was a storm coming in, everybody was walking literally like 2 feet apart, hand by hand, across both sides of the road, in these empty fields, driving up and down the highway looking for any clue." End quote. The local police show up and an investigation is launched into Tara's disappearance. There are some discrepancies regarding the search that I found while doing the research. Some sources say nothing was found on the first day of the search, which would have been the same day Tara went missing, but that there were some clues found on the second day. Then some other sources say clues were found the same day. So, whether they were found the same day or the second day, there were clues found during the search. Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were so, like, hush-hush about it, and...
Yeah. I don't know why there's those, discrepancies. Because it's pretty easy. Like, did you find something the first day, or did you not find something the first day?
It's not saying you have to, like, release exactly what it is, because obviously, you know, you have to identify stuff. But for them to say, like, we don't know, but we might have.
Right.
Like, why even say anything at all?
Yeah, so that was kind of weird, but... Quote, they did find signs of her, but what they discovered was almost a confirmation that something terrible had happened to Tara, and it wasn't an accident. End quote. While walking down the highway, they found Tara's Boston cassette tape, about 3 miles away from Tara's home. It was heavily damaged, leading some people to believe it was forcefully knocked out of her hand. They also found bike tracks along the road, and right next to those, tire tracks. The police and family agreed these all looked like signs of a struggle and a possible kidnapping.
So it wasn't too far from her house, then?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I was led to believe that it was, like, further down the road, to reason why, like, no one really seen it, but...
No, 3 miles.
That changes things a little bit.
The yellow Walkman was found a few days later, 19 miles east of New Mexico 47, near the remote John F. Kennedy campground. Tara's mother believes her daughter was leaving clues behind to let people know that she was taken. If that's true, by the way. That was really smart of her to do.
No, I just think they're trying to destroy evidence and lead them away from the crime scene.
Yeah, that could be too. Unfortunately, no one they came across and talked to witnessed anything concrete, such as the suspected abduction. But some witnesses did describe seeing Tara around 11:45 a.m. riding her bike, with a truck following slowly behind her. But Tara had her headphones in and didn't seem to notice. The truck was described as a 1953 Ford pickup truck, dirty white or light gray in color with a homemade shell. What is a homemade shell?
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I was like...
Because I don't know what that means, but I do know there's, like, pictures of it, which we'll put in the blog, but yeah. The police released the description to the public, but no one ever came forward. Sergeant Joseph Rowland, the lead investigator for the Tara Calico case since 2016, said, quote, over the next 5 days, a vast search started happening. Throughout day and night, in search of horseback, on foot with dogs, we took boats out on the Rio Grande River, which is nearby. We contacted Albuquerque Resources and got ROTC students out there to help us search on foot. End quote. The sheriff's department also released a sketch of the driver given by witnesses, but it didn't generate any leads. Tara's parents and boyfriend were of course interviewed, but they all had alibis and were cleared. Investigators then moved on to interviewing friends, classmates, and co-workers of Tara's, but they were all cleared as well. For 9 months, there were no new clues in Tara's case, until June 15, 1989. A Polaroid was found in Port St. Joe, Florida. It shows a young boy and what looks to be a teenage girl tied up with duct tape over their mouths. The young lady in the photo closely resembled Tara. This Polaroid set off a huge media frenzy, and the tips started rolling in. Unfortunately, even with all the tips that came in, Tara was no closer to being found than she was before the photo was found. In 1998, 10 years after Tara disappeared, her family had her legally declared deceased. Then in 2003, they left New Mexico and moved to Florida. AllThat'sInteresting.com states, quote, it was a move they had wanted to make for years, but they hadn't been able to bring themselves to do it. They always half expected a break in their daughter's case. After enduring dozens of fruitless tips and appearing on countless shows, Oprah, Unsolved Mysteries, 48 Hours, and A Current Affair, to beg for news of their daughter, they decided it was time. Here, Patty Dole said of their home in New Mexico, there's not anything I can do that doesn't remind me of Tara, end quote. Unfortunately, Patty passed away in 2006, never finding out what happened to her daughter, but always believing the girl in the Polaroid was her. It has now been almost 35 years since Tara went missing on that September day, but she is still remembered by those that love her and the investigators that are still working on her case. Quote, she's certainly not forgotten. She's not forgotten in the hearts of the residents of Valencia County, nor has she been forgotten by the Valencia County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Joseph Rowland with 𝑑𝒃𝒍𝒊𝒔𝒉𝒆𝒅 quote, following Patty's death, Michelle Dole has taken the lead in their family in keeping a spotlight on the case. She also does grassroots detective work of her own, alongside Calico's high school friend Melinda Escobar, the host of the podcast Vanished, the Tara Calico Investigation, end quote. Which, by the way, I would highly recommend if you guys are listening to this and you want more information on Tara's case, go and listen to that podcast. Michelle is quoted in saying, "I want to know where she's at, but I also want somebody to pay for it and, whether they're alive or dead, at least acknowledge the fact that it happened." After the break, we will discuss the theories surrounding Tara's disappearance. Stay with us.
Now back to the case. So what happened to Tara Calico? The most obvious answer was that there was foul play involved. But before we get into that, let's talk about what she wasn't. Tara had her whole life ahead of her. Quote, she was a happy young woman with no serious problems at home. She was social and always busy, but no one knew of any plans she might have had to travel or leave her old life behind. End quote. So there was nothing about her life that anyone would suggest that she would be considered as a runaway. What spurred this possibility was the fact that a Polaroid was found in Port St. Joe, Florida, on June 15, 1989, some 1,500 miles from where Tara originally went missing, by a woman who was making a routine trip to the convenience store. Prior to going to the store, she noticed a white van in the parking spot next to hers, but it was when she was walking out of the store that she noticed a Polaroid where the white van was previously. In the photo, it was depicted as showing a, quote, teenage girl and a young boy lying on sheets and a pillow, with duct tape over their mouths and their hands and feet bound, end quote. The woman took the photo to the police. Quote, the national media ran hundreds of stories about the photo. Tara's parents saw one of the stories and got in touch with Florida police. They recognized her as the girl in the photo. The parents of Michael Henley recognized him as the boy in the photo. He had vanished while on a camping trip with his father in the Zuni Mountains in 1988. Factory analysis determined that the photo was recently taken. The FBI has not been able to determine if the children in it are Tara and Michael. A forensic artist compared the pictures of the missing teenagers to it, and it was 85% sure that they were the ones depicted. End quote. However, in 1990, the remains of Michael Henley were found 7 miles from the campsite where he was last seen, and it was said that he had died due to exposure, hypothermia, after getting lost in the wilderness. Based on when the photo was taken, and when Michael had died, the photo was never developed, therefore making the person in the photo not Michael. But with one missing persons case solved, it left whether or not Tara was really the one in the photo up for debate. Since the first photo, 2 other Polaroids were found, and it was speculated that Tara was the woman in these photos. But after further investigation, authorities ruled out both photos being Tara. Quote, the photograph was sent to the FBI, the Los Alamos National Laboratory, and New Scotland Yard in the UK for further inspection. Although the FBI and the Los Alamos National Laboratory were unable to confirm the identity of the girl in the photo, True Crime Time reports New Scotland Yard confirmed it was Tara Calico. End quote. So you've seen the photo, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on it?
Well, after looking at it for a while, I know that there's people that swear it was her and her mom, went to her grave thinking it was her. But just my opinion, I don't think it was her. Reason being, the eyebrows don't match up. Like, Tara had, curved eyebrows, and the girl in the photo has more straight eyebrows.
Yeah.
And also the noses. I feel like Tara's nose was more, I don't know, rounded, I guess, at the tip. Mm-hmm. And then the girl in the photograph, her nose isn't as round. Yeah. What do you think?
No, I think the same thing. The eyes and the eyebrow are kind of, for me, a giveaway that it is not her. But the whole photo in general is just weird. It says that they're bound by, their hands and feet are bound, but they're just kind of tucked away. They're not really in view to where they are bound, or they look that way. But it doesn't, to me, when I first seen the photo, it didn't take me long to be like, no, that's not her. just because of the eyes and the eyebrows. But also just the situation in which they're sitting there. It doesn't come off as if these people are being held hostage or against their will. It's just like they're just plopped there, you know? And then someone had said something about the tape on their mouths.
I saw that too. They said something like if the tape had been there for a while, they would have like red
It'd be more
marks or
raw.
whatever around their, raw marks around their face or whatever, which I understand that. I mean, I get why people are torn about it because they do look very similar. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, we'll have the pictures for you guys up on the blog, but just if I had to guess, I would say no, it's not her.
Mm-hmm. And then what kind of made me think that it wasn't was when they found that kid.
Yeah,
and so and I was like, okay, so it's not him. But what kind of the whole question mark is like, for your parents to see that and think, oh, that's my child, and it's not. That's kind of...
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, like, because I was saying, like, as a parent, I feel like, at least I hope, I would be able to know in a picture that was my child. Mm-hmm. I get why they wanted to believe it was their kids, because what's the alternative? Is that either they're dead, or you just have no idea. You know, you don't know. It's like that, the unknown thing is worse than actually knowing kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I get why they really wanted to believe that they were their children. But I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like as a parent, like you would know in your gut if it was your kid or not, but maybe, I don't know. I mean, they really thought that was their children, and they were wrong regarding the boy. So I don't know.
Like, realistically, it's like me, I'd be like, no, that's not them.
Right.
But as a parent, like, I can see that you wanting to believe that that's them because you just, you know, obviously. It was announced by investigators in September 2008 that they no longer believe that Tara was the girl in the photo. Quote, instead, they have learned from witnesses that she was most likely killed on the day of her disappearance by men she knew from school. End quote. In the same year, it came out that Valencia County Sheriff Rene Rivera said he knew what happened to Tara Calico. He believes two men were driving down Highway 47 on the 20th of September, 1988, where they accidentally struck and seriously injured Tara Calico, where they panicked, placed Tara in the truck, and drove off. Quote, according to Rivera, the men were later assisted by two other men who helped them kill Calico and dispose of her body. Although he admitted that there was little or no evidence linking the four men to Calico's disappearance, Rivera said that the Valencia County Sheriff's Department has a case put together, but they want to make sure that this case is a concrete case. End quote. During a 2009 interview with Investigation Discovery, Rivera revealed that he thought the two men in the truck were actually teenagers, and their parents may have helped them cover up the crime. He also believes that Calico is, quote, likely buried somewhere in Valencia County, end quote. As reported by True Crime Times, Calico's family was disturbed by Rivera's assertions because he would not name the suspects and did not have enough evidence to make an arrest.
But can I just say, that would piss me off too. Like, why would you say that you knew who did it and then not actually say?
Exactly. Like, why say anything at all? Like, I know some things, but I'm not sure. Dude, don't say anything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Like, that's just leading people on, like, in general, and also possibly false hope, and it's just like, don't say anything then. Like, you may know something, but you can't say anything. I mean, that also kind of comes off as, is he guilty of something, you know?
It's sketch.
And it's, like, there's a lot to be said, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's sus.
It is something. How long were you holding that in? How long?
A while. Yeah. A while.
Mm-hmm. In 2010, a man named Henry Brown made a confession to police on his deathbed. He's quoted in saying that not long after Tara's disappearance, he was in the basement of Lawrence Romero Jr.'s house. And while he was there, he saw what appeared to be a body of a young woman wrapped in a blue tarp and buried in a makeshift grave. Quote, Romero, a man named Dave Silva, and another man with red hair told Henry that the body was Tara's. They said that on the day of her disappearance, they, along with a man named Leroy Chavez, were in a truck when they noticed her riding her bike. While trying to get her attention, they accidentally struck her with their truck and abducted her. They took her to a gravel pit and took turns raping her. When Tara threatened to go to the police, Romero stabbed her to death, while Silva, Chavez, and the third man held her down. They originally hid her body in a nearby bush. However, as searches began for her, they moved her body to the basement. Henry told investigators that they threatened to kill him if he went to the police. He also said that they got away with the crime because Romero's father, Lawrence Romero Sr., was the sheriff at the time. He and the other men's parents also allegedly helped cover up the crime. He apparently found a note written by Romero Jr. confessing to Tara's murder and destroyed it. End quote. Henry also told investigators that Tara's body may have been placed in a nearby pond at one of their houses. When questioned about her bike, Henry had mentioned that Tara's bike was disposed of at a junkyard. It should also be noted that Romero Jr. committed suicide in 1991.
So, just thinking, I wonder if the police ever searched the junkyard.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I'm
but
assuming
it being
did,
the junkyard, it's packed full, man. Like, I've seen photos, like, you've seen Breaking Bad, right? But what I'm getting at, they filmed some of their scenes at the junkyard, and that was not staged. That's how it is. So I could only imagine them getting there and just be like, we'll try, but I don't think we'll find anything, just because of how, it's scrap and everything out there.
That's true.
It's huge.
I mean, it's even the Los Alamos junkyard, which, is not a big town, was crazy because I had seen it a couple times. So I can't even imagine, like, Albuquerque and the surrounding areas, like what the junkyard looks like. So that would be a great place to hide stuff if you didn't want anybody to find it.
But that's also a good place to start. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things out there that people just, like, if they started looking, they probably would find a whole mess of things.
They probably would.
In 2018, the FBI and Valencia County Sheriff's Department issued a joint statement that, quote, they had evidence suggesting Calico was attacked and ultimately killed by 2 teenage boys in a pickup truck. They also said that their parents may have helped them cover up the crime, end quote. However, with this statement, no arrests were made, much less names of the suspects released for this case. The most recent update came in September of 2021, where a warrant was issued to search a home in Valencia County. However, the warrant is still sealed at this time, so no details have been released. So overall, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
I honestly think that Tara was, riding her bike, and that truck that some witnesses saw, I mean, I'm not sure if it was exactly that truck, but I do feel like she was hit by a truck. I don't know if it was accidentally or if it was intentional.
I want to say that it could have been, like, accidental. Like, they're just mucking around. Oh, like, oh, there she is, riding her bike again.
Right.
But then it got serious. Like, oh, shit, we actually hit her.
Right.
And she was like, well, I'm going to call the cops because you're doing all this. And they're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, and then they just freaked out and, loaded her in the truck and took her out in the middle of nowhere because, it's New Mexico, it's Belen, you're out in the freaking middle of nowhere.
You're in the desert, first off.
Yeah, you're in the desert. Like, I don't think people realize if they've never been to New Mexico, like, you are literally, there are hundreds and hundreds of miles where there is nothing. So yeah, I mean, that's what I think happened. I really do think that someone hit her in the truck. They freaked out. They shoved her in the truck. And if it was more than one guy, then it would be easy to pick her up and just put her in the truck, Yeah. Especially if she was hurt.
Well, 1 against 4. Or even 1 against 2. Yeah.
Right. So, and then at that point, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I believe the story about them 4 guys going out and raping her and stuff. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. But Yeah, I don't know if she was sexually assaulted or if she just died of her injuries or what. But I will say I don't think she's alive. I
No.
will say
Yeah, I
that.
think it happened right
Yeah.
then and there. Pretty much instant.
Yeah, I agree. And unfortunately, I think that she's still out there, buried somewhere in New Mexico.
Well, there was that one quote where he had said that, hold on, let me see where it is. Where Rivera said that she is likely buried somewhere in Valencia County. I believe
Yeah.
that.
I do too.
I don't think they would have gotten far.
Mm-mm.
But with the whole, like, finding some of her things near the mountains in that campground,
Yeah.
I don't think she's there. That's, that's one way of just separating and throwing people off the trail. Of thinking she's over there and she's not, the other side of town.
So you think that whoever did this moved her or like scattered her Walkman over there to like throw people off her trail, off the trail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a very loaded thing on what happened, but I also think it's simple.
Exactly. How many times like have we heard in cases that we've read about, it's like the most obvious answer is like the simplest. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And like people like to
Like they're making it harder than it is.
Right. When it could actually just be so simple. Like she was hit while riding her bike. Like that could definitely happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person freaks, they grab her, they take her out in the middle of nowhere, and they do whatever. But like that, the simplest thing.
And his like suicide, Romero's suicide, Romero Jr.
Yeah. Yeah.
I often think maybe
like,
that's a guilty conscience.
I think it is. If I had to guess, I think it is. Because that was only a few years after Tara disappeared. And,
like, if
Tara.
that's the case, and he did that, and it was accidental, and I could just see him, feeling guilty about it. In that aspect, yes. I can see it as accidental that he did do it, but to the extent of what happened, it's hard to say, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Do you think this case will ever be solved? I hope it's solved. I really hope it is solved eventually. But I've heard of cases, just recently, cases that are older than this case have been solved. So, it is possible.
Yeah. Well, I'm not ruling it out, but...
Yeah.
Hopeful, but realistically,
Without a body ever being found or a confession, we may never know what exactly happened to Tara. I just hope that one day her family and friends can find peace. The FBI is offering a $20,000 reward for information that helps solve Tara's case. If you have any information about Tara Calico's disappearance, contact the Valencia County Sheriff's Office at 505-866-2400 or the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov.
All right, Mystery Knox listeners, that's it for our case today. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we'd love to hear your ideas and or theories on this case, so let us know on our Instagram and Facebook at Mystery Knox Podcast, on Twitter at Mystery Knox Pod, or send us a voice message on anchor.fm/Mystery Knox Podcast. A list of our sources and the pictures from this case can be found on our blog at mysteryknoxpodcast.wordpress.com. Your support is always appreciated, so if you enjoyed what you've heard, please let us know by giving us a review on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to your podcast. We'll see you on our next episode, and remember, stay weird, stay curious.
Anyway, here we go. You guessed it, alien abduction. You're fucking...
Hey, I'm providing ASMR for our listeners.
That will relax me.